Hello and welcome to Amy Hart's Mums Club. In this podcast, I'll be sharing the highs and lows of being a mum. Plus, each week I'll be joined by a special guest, and together we'll delve into their experiences of parenthood. And that's not all. This podcast is for you. Me and my gaggle of fabulous guests will be sharing tips and tricks and advice from our own journeys. My guest, my guest today has made some very happy little learners through her social media channels, and with her new book, Read, Write and Play, out by now, I'm delighted to welcome to Amy Hart's Mums Club teacher, early years specialist, and mum, Sophie David.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Just like life's a bit crazy at the moment with Love Island and being a mum and stuff, but we're getting there. We're getting there. It's all good.
The
But
juggle is
you've
real.
got it is the juggle is really, really real. How do you do it? Because obviously you used to be a primary school teacher. Then you had your children and you were like, oh, I'm not gonna go back. And you've sort of like founded this business from home. How do you juggle it all?
Oh, that's a really hard question because I don't think anyone really juggles it, do
Yeah.
they? We all just live in this this realm of getting it done, I suppose. You just have to just get on with it. But my husband is amazing. He's so fantastic and he helps out wherever he can. So I think that makes it much easier. But yeah, the juggle is just there. We have to do it. We spin the
Yeah.
plates. It happens.
Now, tell people who don't know, tell us about Happy Little Learners and how it started and how it's evolved, and then we'll get into your book.
Okay. So Little Happy Learner started when I had just finished. So I was teaching and then I fell pregnant with my first son. And then I fell pregnant very quickly with my second, and I had two under two, and it was absolutely carnage. But I am super creative. Like I just needed an outlet. And I think I felt like there was a period of my life where I was sort of just willing the day away when for my husband to come home, for Adam to get back. And I think I just needed a purpose. So then I really stupidly thought that there was no one doing what I was doing. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to start sharing this on Instagram and see if people can resonate. And it just started with me sharing activities at home that I was doing with the boys. I realized very quickly that lots of people were doing it. And then there's like a whole community of people doing it online. And then it just sort of carried on from there, I suppose. And now to what it is today, I do lots and lots of phonics stuff on my platform now. We still do lots of crafts, but it's really just about bringing a lot more playfulness into our lives and into the homes of other people. So I just want to get more and more children playing with their families, but also on their own, and get them learning through play and enjoying to learn together.
Yeah. I suppose as your children have got older, your business has sort of evolved and now you're on like sort of the phonics stage with your kids. Um, is that nice that you sort of get to live it with them?
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely has to evolve at every step. Like you say, my eldest is 8 now, which feels really odd because I still don't realize that I have an 8-year old. But because if they're getting older, I have to just have to evolve and flex with them and do what they're doing. So phonics, I was a primary school teacher, and phonics was just my absolute. I loved teaching phonics. It was my passion. So for me, I've always shared phonics stuff, always. So from my eldest son being like 2 years old, I used to share videos of what we did, but it never really hit. No one really got it. And then there's just one video last year that went mental, and from then I've started sharing it more and more, and it's now evolved into the business that I have now.
Yeah. My best friend is a primary school teacher and she's already like, I'm going to come around and give Stanley phonics lessons. What do you find is the best way of teaching phonics? Obviously, I've got a 2-year-old, so how would I start teaching Stanley phonics now?
So yes, start now. That is my best advice to you. I think I've seen before that you said you're not much of a crafter and you don't really like the mess. Is that right?
Well, I didn't, but then I know how much. Basically, one of my friends bought him a finger painting kit for his birthday, and I was like, "Yeah, thanks for that." And then we did it, and he really loved it. So then I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna be a craft mum now." So I got like the big roll of paper from IKEA. I crafted, bought loads of stuff. So yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting
And
there.
it is something you have with it as well. And if you are a bit anti-mess, what I would say, what embedding some sort of phonics into your day, it doesn't always have to be messy. So if you are a bit anti-mess and like, oh no, this do it in the
Yeah,
bath or do it outside. So what you wouldn't realize, Amy, is that you're probably doing phonics with Stanley every single day and you don't even know it. So you're quite naturally quite chatty,
Yeah.
aren't you? Just talking to him and communicating with him all the time, you're probably doing so much of that first stage of phonics. So before they even start learning sound, there's this whole phase of phonics called phase one, and it's all about listening skills, getting them to take turns. It's all about deciphering different sounds. So can't imagine that you're ever silent, are you, with
Yeah. No.
Stanley?
No.
So you're
No.
talking, you're
Yeah.
going, Stanley, what's that? Can you hear that? And oh, that's a bird, and you're labeling things.
Yeah.
That's and to label that sound, and looking at farm animals and thinking about what sounds they make. One of the questions that I'm always asked is, when you start introducing sounds, do we say the name or do we say the sound? So I always use farm animals as the perfect examples, because when you're teaching Stanley what an animal noise is, you might go, oh look, moo moo, that's a cow. You're telling him there and then the name of that animal and the sound it makes. And that's exactly the same with letters. What you want to do is go, oh, this is an A, but it makes the ah sound. And then you really want to just really focus on those sounds. So it's an ah, ah, ah. But in answer to that question that you asked, like, how can you start with him? It's everywhere, reading books with him every single day, nursery rhymes, playing with instruments, looking at animal sounds, sounds in your environment. It's just really quite simple, and you'd be doing it every day without even labeling it as phonics.
Yeah, I was gonna say I do most of that. And the thing is, so with the mess, my mum is like a clean freak. Like literally, like the argument that we had, like my whole childhood is the fact that my bedroom was really messy. And she used to like not let me go out if my bedroom was messy, and it was just such a thing. I'm still quite messy myself. So this thing I shouldn't be anti-mess. But I think like no, don't get me wrong, she always like we had a conservatory, so that was like the messy room. And she used to get like long like things of fax paper, old school. And we could like paint on there. And like once we had a big delivery of something. We had loads of cardboard boxes. We made a train. We painted it all and stuff. Had it out in the garden. But like this morning, she came round and Stanley was eating Rice Krispies. He normally has Weetabix, but he asked for Rice Krispies, and obviously Weetabix is all sort of like congealed together. That makes sense. So when he puts it on his spoon, it stays on the spoon. Obviously, Rice Krispies with milk goes everywhere. And she was like, "See, I wouldn't let him make that mess." I was like, "Well, I can just clear it up. Like he can make the mess if he wants to, and then I'll just clear it up."
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like that is like sort of conditioning myself to be like, and that's with the finger painting thing. Because I was also like, "Oh my god, paints in my lounge." Da, da, da. We have hard floors. We have a play mat. He's got the little IKEA table. We've got the long stream of paper that I just brown tape brown the table, and he's got like a little overall. So I was like, actually, it's literally like washing his hands. So I think the thought of the mess was worse for me. And my best friend, she like mixes up like chia pudding for her daughter because she says that that's like chia seeds are sensory. I'm not going to go that far, but I
That's
will.
also really messy. So any chia seed, they're so sticky and it's so hard to clean it up. So yeah, don't go there.
No, she sent me a video once of Mabel with it all in her hair, and I was like, yeah, Stanley can come around and do that at your house and have a bath at your house. He's not doing it at mine. But so yeah, I'm getting this. We'll definitely check out. Moving on to like the phonics and your book. Now, do you think like it says there's a lot more sort of intervention now with sort of speech and language, and I see a lot of people saying, "Oh yeah, my children have been referred." Now, to me, that's not weird to me because my brother, he had he had like a whole like long list of things. So he had really bad speech when he was little, but he also had glue ear. And then he had a hole in his eardrum from the glue ear, so he had to have grommets. But he also had a heart murmur. So they sort of put it all together, and we're a bit like, I think he can hear the heart murmur, so he can't hear what you're saying properly. Plus, with the glue ear, he can't hear what you're saying to him, which is why he's got bad speech. Like his name's Sam, and he used to say, "My name is Bam," and everyone would be like, "Sam," and he'd be like, "Yeah, Bam," like thinking that's what we were saying. But so he's really angry, like, "My name is Bam." So to me, like people being referred to speech therapy, because I remember my brother having speech therapy, isn't weird, but it feels like a lot of people are having it now. Do you think that it's just people are talking about it more? Do you think there's more help available? Or do you think it's like because of COVID maybe and people being inside and not meeting lots of different people? Like what would you say it is?
We don't know. We don't know what the reason. But I think it's probably all of those things that you've just said. So it's probably not the best answer. There's not one answer that we can give, but
I mean, you're saying that I'm right, so best answer ever.
basically,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's all of those things. I think we're quick to blame COVID, but also during COVID, we had so much more time with our children than ever before. So I think that also I know that people are juggling work, so it's really difficult. It's so hard to underpin what it is. There's lots of evidence to say that it's because of screen time. There's lots of evidence to say that it's because we're more aware of it now, so more people
Yeah.
talking about language needs than we ever have had ever in the UK right now. So that is something that we are seeing in schools in early year settings. But there's not really one answer to as to why. I think what we don't need to think about is why, but what can we do to support? And the best thing that we can do is just play with our children. And it's so hard. And I think I say this and people go, oh, well, I don't have time because I'm doing this, this, and this. And like I said, the juggle
Yeah.
is real. We know that we're all doing it, but 5 minutes of just playtime with our children every day and talking to them and trying to understand what's going on and labeling things, and all I can say is just talk to your children as much as possible. And that could be you're sitting there working and talking as you work. If they're in the same room as you, that is something that I just naturally do. I'll be washing up and I'll be chatting away and like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm washing this up now. And it's easy for me to say that because I don't have a baby anymore as well. So I've
Yeah.
very much aware of the fact that my children are all older and they are a bit more self-sufficient. But when they're like two and they're toddlers and they're running around and they need and they're demanding your attention, it is difficult. But I would say that instead of us focusing on why and what the reason is because of like what's happened, we need to focus on what we can do to support. And I can't stress enough that we just need to talk and play with our children much more than we already are, I think.
Yeah, my husband's quite quiet, like compared to me. And when Stanley was a baby and he would go into his room in the morning, I would shout down like, Sam, are you in there with him? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, because I haven't heard you say anything on the monitor. I'm like, you need to be talking to him. Or he's like, what do I say? What do I talk about? I'm like, just talk to him. And then he did do more. And he said, like, I get what you mean. But I think as well, I think I'm guilty of it, I know I am, is like now, because there's like when we were kids, I feel like going to a soft play was like a treat. It was like occasionally when my mum was working on a Saturday morning, my dad would take us to like Amazon Adventure, and that was like a big thing. Because I feel like now there's so much stuff, there's so many baby groups, there's so many soft plays and activities and this and that, and we're told like, you've got to get out, enrich your children type thing. And I think I'm really guilty of it that I have a Tuesday with Stanley. That's like our special day. He calls it our day. And whenever I say to him, like, I love you, he's like, I love you. I'm like, what does love mean? And he's like, our day, our day. So like it's so special to me. Um, so I always try and make sure we're doing like loads of stuff on a Tuesday because I'm like, that's our day together. And yesterday I said to him, like, okay, so I've been to baby group in the morning. I said to him, right, do you want to go to, we've got like a pick your own down the road. I said, like, because he loves corn on the cob. So I was like, right, do you want to go and pick your own corn on the cob? Or we can go here, or we can go here, or we can just stay here and play with the toys. And he was like, play with my toys. And I think like I spend so much time at Christmas and his birthday researching and watching YouTube videos, trying to find like the best toys for him that I know he'll love and that like are in with his interests and stuff. And I'll never let him be at home to play with them. And I think like an afternoon of just being at home with him and being like, okay, what should we get out next? What should we get out next? And I can tidy it all up at the end. Because again, my mum and mother-in-law are both very like, got to tidy each thing up as you play with it. And I'm like, let's just get it
Yeah.
all out and I'll
And
tidy it all up
so
at the end.
wild.
Yeah.
I cannot stress enough how important that is, because I think naturally we are, like you say, it is about enriching and doing all these things. But I think we're very much in this society now that's about going out and experiencing things. And our kids are all going to clubs way earlier than we ever did. I mean, I don't think more. My husband definitely, he says he didn't play football until he was about 8, whereas my son have been doing it since they were like 3 when they're going little kickers. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Stanley started
insane.
at 18 months
Yeah,
football.
it's insane. And we are doing way more. And I don't think that's a negative at all. Or experiences that we can get at home. I always make sure that during half terms, I speak to so many people and they want to get out every day in half term. half terms are about resetting, getting back together with your family, reconnecting. And we would spend all my kids are a bit like me though, we're homebodies. So if I ask them ever what they want to do, they'll say, can we stay at home? And they want to craft, they want to be in the garden, they want to be with
Yeah.
me. And so I think there's a difference, but it's because I've always put so much value on our time together and having that connection. So we do after school every single day, my kids will come home and do something with me, whether that is us baking something together or doing the dinner. They will just be with me, and it can be suffocating at times.
Yeah.
But it's also lovely because I know that if I give them that half an hour when they first get back from school to decompress and tell me everything, it generally means that they'll go off and be independent after that, and I can
Mhm.
crack on with the bits that I need to do. So I always say connect before you want them to disconnect, because they do need that connection first and that time. But yeah, I can't I put so much value on our home time that I put very little value on going out and experiencing things. So I have become a little bit of a hermit.
I mean, I would love that. Like COVID was like my dream. I was like, so you're telling me I can't leave the house for 3 weeks? Amazing. Thank you very much. I love it. I would literally. My mum used to have to force me to go out for a walk around the block with the dog because she's like, "You haven't left the house in 3 days." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. It's well good. I've watched loads of Desperate Housewives though."
Really?
Literally, I've literally completed Instagram. I've seen every post. I love it.
Every single thing that's
Yeah. It's not showing me anything else now. I've literally completed it. But what was I going to say about? Oh, I had something in my head. What was I going to say about? See, with the cooking and the baking, um, everyone kept saying to me because I love cooking, like, "Oh, get a toddler tower, get a toddler tower," and I was like, "But that's my time. Like, my cooking is my time. I watch EastEnders on my iPad while I'm shopping." But now Stanley, when I'm cooking dinner, so he loves darts. So his big thing is his dartboard, and he will play darts for like an hour, and he has a stance. He'll stand at the right level. He says, "Mummy, that's a double. Mummy, I got 180." He didn't get 180, but he knows that that's the thing because my husband plays a lot as well. My husband's in like 2 or 3 different teams. So he'll play in darts, and I'll be cooking, and he'll come over. He's like, "Me help, me help, me help." So I think the time has come to get a toddler tower, um, so that he can help me. And for Mother's Day, they bought me like matching mixing bowls, like a big one,
Oh.
like Mummy's mixing bowl, and then Stanley's mixing.
To cook. We have a tower, and it's the best thing I've ever bought because they use it every single day. And what I have found is that my kids now eat absolutely anything because they have prepared and helped so much
Yeah,
with cooking. And we then talk about, nutrition. We don't label things as healthy and unhealthy. I want them to have a completely different relationship to food than what I had. So we talk about things, and they'll say, this is a carbohydrate, this is protein, I need this. And there's so much more advanced on that than I ever was because
mm,
just in and around food all the time. But I do still value, I love cooking, I love baking, and I love doing that. So I do still time, like where it's just me and I'm like, no, this is mummy's meal now. I'm making this one by myself, but you can help make this later on.
yeah,
So they're quite good with that, and you can give them something to do.
yeah,
But I think at this age, it's the perfect age to get your little
yeah.
knives let out for them.
Yeah, my best friend bought him the teacher as well. She's all about all the presents are learning. Oh, she's amazing. So basically, every present he's ever had from her since he's been born has been always books. But then, like, she bought him like the toddler knife sets. She's like, it's very good for his motor skills.
Yeah.
And then she buys him like magnetiles because she's like, it's really good for his building and like engineering and stuff. So
Yeah.
she's very good at like an educational toy. So yeah, I do
Yeah.
need to get him. But we have an amazing babysitter as well who helps us a lot, and she will when I come home, I say, "What have you had?" And he's like, "Strawberries," and then she's like, "And who cut the strawberries?" He's like, "I cut the strawberries." Like,
Oh,
and she does lots of baking with stuff. But then I'm like, I should be doing that on the Tuesday. But then I'm like, we've got off like last Tuesday, and Sam was like, "What an elite day!" I took him to the dentist. Then I took him for a gingerbread man. Then I took it, which I know, oxymoron, but whatever. And then I took him, but he was very good at the dentist. Um, and then I took him to the cinema, and then we went to Pizza Hut. And Sam was like, "That's an amazing day." I was like, "Yeah, they're the days that I used to have when I was a kid." But then when I think about it, I had those when I was like 7, 8, 9
yeah.
onwards, not when I was 2. Um, so I don't want to wish his life away, but I also want like I'm a bit of like an experience. I want to be a magical mum basically, but I know that a lot of the magic is in sitting down and playing with your kids.
Yeah, I think a lot of the magic, so like mine, whenever we add them every birthday, we'll get them to write a card for me and say what they love about me most. And everything they ever write is about like baking with me, cooking with me, crafting with me. It's never about all the other stuff. So I think we've naturally just put so much emphasis on our time at home and family time that if we say to them, my eldest is adorable. We said to him the other day, "Where's your safe place?" He said, "At home with my whole family when we're all here."
Aw.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it? You just want to build those
Yeah,
habits of like just they want to be at home with us, and they won't want to when well, he's 8, so in a couple of years he'll want to be everywhere but at home. So
yeah.
at night it's lovely, like at the moment it's lovely for us.
I can't think. We went to see Pepper Meets the Baby at the cinema, and there's a song about them growing up, and they have pictures of the baby. Like this is like some kids in it. They have pictures of them as a baby, and then pictures of them as the six. And I was like, I wasn't even like getting a bit emotional. My face had like crumpled. I was properly crying. I was like, well, this is and whenever it comes on in the car, I'm like, sorry, Stan, we've got to skip this one. I can't listen to this.
Not listen
Can't.
to it. That's the one thing I say that I would love to go back to, because my boy, where they were so close in age, I feel like it was such a stressful time because they were so young together. But that's the time that I wish that I could go back and just live in a day again, just to
Mm.
see what they were like as toddler and baby, because they were adorable.
Yeah, I mean, I remember one of my mum's friends sharing a picture on Facebook of us all like when we were kids, and she's like, these are the best times. We were all skin. But having young kids with all your friends was so good, and like I'd give anything to go back just for one day. Getting emotional. And I think like, oh my God, like this is everything's so busy at the moment, and like like Stanley's like, "Mummy going to work, mummy going to work," and stuff. And I think like I do sometimes need to sort of slow down, but at the same time I do have to work, so I'm like,
Of course.
swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, yeah, and you have your own goals and stuff, and you have to carry on with those. And I think that's where there's a difference, is that we can do all of these things, and that's what's amazing. But that is why to slow down in those days. But I mean, that Tuesday, you don't have to be at home. You're going to Pizza Hut and cinema, like
Yeah,
you're absolutely having the day of dreams. So I think it can look different all the time, but just put value in being at home. I think lots of people don't. They think, oh, a day at home is a day wasted, but it's absolutely not. It has as much emphasis on our children's upbringing than a day out, at the zoo and anywhere else. But yeah, I
I
think it's good to have
yeah
this, you know
yeah
difference in
home
our
time. Yeah. I think as well, now that he's of an age where he can do more stuff and he understands more, like he's 2 and a quarter. So he can sit down, like we do puzzles, we got a Lilo and Stitch Lego set and he'll sit and watch me build it. Um, and he loves it. He's like, this is my Lilo and Stitch house. My mummy built this. And he'll literally sit down and just watch me build. And I'll say, I'm doing this, doing this. I'm like, you can't help me yet, but I'm gonna get him some Duplo, I think. Because I think he'll be really good at that. But yeah, I think now he can do more stuff. I need to sort of get out of the habit of like, so like, oh my God, he's now 93 centimeters, which means he can go on loads of rides at loads of different theme parks. I must take him to all of them so he can experience roller coasters at the age of 2. I need to get more to like, he can do crafting at home and actually understand what I'm telling him to do. So your book, Read, Write, Play, it's out now. What are the 3 top things you can tell me from it? Just to whet people's appetite.
Okay, so as soon as your children start to go to school, what you will find is that whatever enjoyment they have at home, then find it quite difficult to have that enjoyment in their learning. And that is what I found, is that with school, I see it as my children go and have this experience, but because it's so rigid and their timetables are so tight, that enjoyment for learning does dwindle away. And for someone like me who does so much with them at home in terms of learning, I found it really sad that with reading and writing, it becomes quite boring for them. Like the books they get home, it's quite a boring experience, and it's the same every single day. So the whole premise of Read, Write, Play is that we make it as fun as possible and as hands-on as possible. If you were to go into a bookshop today for Stanley and go, I want to find a book about phonics and I want to start his reading and writing journey, those books will all be filled with worksheets, every single one, even if it's aimed at a 2-year-old. There is absolutely zero evidence out there that says that worksheets support our children in primary school, let alone in those early years. They will not remember it. However, there is so much evidence to say that our children learn the best through play. So this book, Read, Write, Play, is the only book like it that you could go into a Waterstones and say, I want a book on phonics, and what they should be handing you is Read, Write, Play, because it is
Okay.
for our
I'll go into
children.
mystery shopping.
Yeah, that is what they should be handing you, because that is, I cannot stress enough, the most important part of it. It's not saying that is just Read, Write, Play is going to help your child to read and write. It will, but what it will do is it will get them to love learning. It will get them to realize that learning is absolutely everywhere, and you can be playing with dinosaurs and you can be learning to read and write. You can be in a water tray and you can be learning sounds. You can be playing darts and you can be reading. Like, all of these things.
Yeah, Luke Littler's mum told me that by the time Stanley goes to school, his maths will be really good because of his darts. So I'm like, I'll take it. I'll
Well,
take
even
it.
just, you were saying a moment ago, like even him understanding that he understands the word double, just saying the word
Yeah,
double, looking at numbers higher than 10, like this 180, he may not know those numbers yet, but by having that access to it all the time, he will
yeah.
you
Mhm.
could, instead of his dartboards, you could put, I don't know how your husband would feel about this, but you could put letters on it and get him to
Yeah,
start, and it could land on a letter, and then he pulls it off, and then you say the sound. I think the whole idea and the premise of the book is that we can put it everywhere, we can make it as fun as possible, and that is what we need to do, because by the time our children are in year one, they are sitting at a desk every day.
I keep seeing TikToks and reels about year one. And I keep sending them to my husband, and I'm like, Stan, this is making me cry. Like, like literally, Stanley's not even started reception yet. Like, you know, he's not even in preschool yet. But I said, like, this is making me cry that this happens. And I know it. Like, does it? I don't know.
Yeah, they're 5 and 6 and they're sat at a desk every day. And that's what's really heartbreaking in the whole process. My son's in year one this year, and he said to me, oh, phonics is so boring. And he's come from a household where we've done phonics since he was 2. And my daughter now doesn't go to school yet. And she will say to me, I gave them a yes day and I asked her what she wanted to do. And she said she wanted to do phonics with mummy. That's how much she loves it.
Amazing.
My boys loved it. And
I'm
that,
on the book on Amazon now.
but it's literally, you should have had one. I think we sent one to you.
I haven't got one, but
Oh.
I will. No, I want to buy one.
No, I will set. Well, it
No,
should
I want to buy one. Let me buy one.
but
And if the other one turns up, then I will give it to a friend. But I'm going to buy one. So yeah. But can I ask? Oh no, yeah.
Oh, no, that is why, that is literally summed up. That's why it's important, because we want them to like it. I don't want them to go to year one and go, I hate phonics. I want them to do. I had an event this weekend and we had children up to age 9, and I sat there with a puppet throwing sounds at them, and I'm not kidding you, at the end of it I said, now can you put your hands up and tell me if you love phonics? And every single one of them, even the age and children, had their hands up, and I was like, that's what it's about. We want them to love learning.
That's amazing. Question, controversial maybe. There's a lot online, or obviously my algorithm seems to be this year one reels, and then there's a lot online about, because of this, a lot more people are homeschooling. Obviously, you are a qualified teacher, you love learning through play. Would homeschooling ever be something you would want for your children?
100%. I thought about it, like 100%, because it is it's a fact. It is, I'm going to say it's a fact. The education system is completely dated. It needs to be revolutionized. Jamie Oliver has a new documentary out, and it's called The Dyslexia Revolution, and it is basically about how the education system are failing our children, especially those with dyslexia and with neurodivergence. And it's kind of the whole premise of why I designed the book, because I wanted to support all children's learning. I always say that every child can learn. We just have to find out how they learn best. And in the book, it covers every single possible way that your child can learn. If they like to learn through making a mess, or if they like to learn through reading and just taking it all in, if they've just got one of those memories where they like to learn word by word, there is literally an activity for every single child in the book.
But thanks so much for joining me, and I'll be back next week with another fabulous guest. Don't forget to check out our socials at Amy Hart's Mums Club for the podcast on TikTok and Instagram, and I am Amy Hart XO on Instagram and at Amy Hart on TikTok. I'll see you next time.